92% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later.
92% because of a bike?
Not just bikes. We also make treadmills and rowers.
Oh, let me guess, for elite athletes only, right?
Nope. It doesn't matter if you're an avid exerciser or new to working out. Peloton can help you achieve your fitness goals. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try Peloton bikes, tread, or row risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
If you're looking to move out of your parents' place, you could really cut expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive, which is good because your little brother has gotten really territorial. You're blood related. You'd think it would be fine to share food in the fridge. I mean, who writes their name on every individually wrapped slice of cheese, Tyler? Still, you've got to admire the commitment. So bundle your renter's and car insurance with Progressive and use the savings to help you move out and have all the cheese you want. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Georgia Radio.
You can't see me tonight. You don't know when I'm pointing at you.
I was listening to go. Once again, with somewhat of a few technical difficulties that are too technical to explain to the great unwashed out there on the radio land. So we just suffice it to say that we're limping along here tonight, which is going to be a great show. And
I'm in the barn
with Matt. Matt Jolly's. Yeah, Matt's in the barn.
I'm out in the barn tonight.
What do you got there? Guarding your eggs?
I am.
So
let me tell you.
Sleep out there.
I paid $8 this week for a dozen, not like fancy eggs. There were no happy chickens with these eggs. This was like store-bought, store brand brown eggs. $8.48 or something. What is going on?
That's crazy.
With the price of eggs and chicken.
By the way, if you hear this noise in the background, that's Conway playing. He chose this time to start harassing Oink Pig, and so if you hear that, that's not. I don't have gas or anything. It's Oink Pig.
Don't have gas.
It sounds bad over there, buddy.
It does sound bad. That's all right.
Yep. That's fine.
Well, I'm glad you're here. It is foggy up here tonight, so if y'all are listening to us where it's foggy, I'm glad you're home. Because,
by the way, we didn't say you're listening to Matt Jolly and me, Wade Peebles, and Baby Conway over there playing on Oink Pig. You listen to the Georgia Folk and Farm Life Radio Show, brought to you by the good folks at Meeks Brothers Cattle Company.
I know Mr. Meeks won't. Well, he might freeze dry meat and send it, but we have a lot of listeners. Remember how we used to have a lot of listeners over in the UK? Mm-hmm. Over in London? They still listen.
Do they?
They still listen, but you're not going to believe this. Georgia Radio, I think it's nearly a record for us. We set over 700, nearly 800 hours of time spent listening in Germany over the last 30 days. Yeah, they found us over in Germany. And,
that's wonderful.
Yeah. They love old country music. They love Wade Peebles and stories about Conway and all that stuff over there, apparently.
Well, good. That is good. I really am impressed by that. That's a lot of hours in a country like Germany.
Well, it is.
And we appreciate it if you're listening. And wherever you're listening, and especially in those far-flung places, we do appreciate you.
But if you'd help us out and buy some Meeks Brothers beef, that would really help us out a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd appreciate that. They have some good beef, grass-fed, grain-finished. And it's just any size you want, they'll fulfill it.
Yeah. Well, Conway's won't know if he can fit on that heart tattoo he wants. You can get Matthew, Joshua, and Thomas's names all squeezed in there.
Yeah, he's become a convert now.
That's going to be, we'll have to have some small font there.
Yeah.
Conway, small font.
Tiny little legs.
Heart. You're not big enough for a big old heart with a big writing on it, buddy.
No.
He's wild tonight.
Well,
going back to the eggs.
And what do you think of
that? I wrote about that this week about the eggs, and the hens they don't get enough respect. It's kind of hard to criticize chickens starting to charge more for they're putting out like that, and
the high price they're paying the labor these days.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't do that for $2.50 a dozen. Ain't no way. So when somebody pointed out that the hens didn't get all that money, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They need to get maybe I don't know. Maybe some pimp is in charge of
The
egg
chickens.
production. And I didn't know that because they don't get much for their efforts.
They don't. Yeah.
That's sad. But
After you pass that kidney stone, you're out of the egg business.
right. And listen, most of us are like this. We want eggs and we want bacon and we want all these good things we like. And we want it cheap, and we want it now.
Mm-hmm.
But eggs, you go through a dozen right quick. So
yeah,
I understand the frustration there. Prices of so many things are going up, so outrageous. But
well, I couldn't even. I mean, they were down to the slim pickings. Usually, it works the other way around. Usually all they have are the Gucci eggs there in the counter. The eggs that everybody walks past and goes, what in the what? $9 for a box of organic Happy Chicken eggs? That doesn't
well listen, I
make
think
any
look back
sense.
just 4 or 5 years ago when Randy Olive had a little store in Swinburne, Wally World, and I ran it for him. And there was a young lady that was a member of the group, and she came up there, and she had she and her husband are good people, just good country folks. I don't know how many chickens they had, but she said, "Do you want some eggs?" I said, "Sure, I could probably sell eggs up here easily, yard eggs." And she said, "We'll be back in a little bit." She came in with it was like hundreds of these flats, that hold 2 dozen or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They were stacked about 4 feet high. I'm like, oh, good grief. I said, well, how much you want for them? Oh, we're just going to give them to you because we don't know what to do with all these eggs. And so I put it out there, and before the day was over, they were gone. People came and got those. They were really good yard eggs.
I like a good
green.
yard egg.
And I wish I knew where she and her husband are and those chickens are today. We'd get in business together, buddy.
Yeah. Well, they probably all died. Now the chickens are all getting the COVID.
Yes,
the avian. That's what they're saying. I read this on a real credible news station, not Georgia radio, not our news team.
Not you heard it on
our news team is they are more concerned with other things. But I did read on another, somewhat credible news station that it was part of this could be because of the chickens getting COVID.
Well, did you know one of the other things that something that chickens produce that's getting in short supply too and will go up in price?
What?
Manure.
Chicken manure, huh?
Chicken stuff.
Yeah.
What
do they use
y'all
that
know what is fertilizer? See,
oh yeah.
I believe me, I can tell you. I drive a truck and haul logs, but I haven't always hauled. Just a few years ago, for a good while, I worked for a friend of mine and we would go to North Georgia twice a day and get chicken litter, it's called, which is a nice name for chickens. And about a trailer load of like 25 to 30 tons or so, and dump it on the farm. Now, it smells terrible. It's horrible. But I hauled it. I had to get them in a sweep the trailer, so I was used to it.
Yeah.
But you have to have chickens. Dead chickens do not poop. That's one thing they don't do.
Yeah.
And so when the chicken supply goes down, not just eggs, but chicken litter, which is has been a very affordable fertilizer. And you see it in the fields or smell it, and you can smell it a long way off. But it's a very good fertilizer.
What do you think? I wonder if we're going to see with the price of eggs going up, if we're going to see more people raising chickens.
Yeah, Walmart will probably get in on it.
I'm ready. I'm ready to raise some chickens up here.
Well, I'll tell you, I've kept chickens for years, and when I was a boy, and then with Judy and I, we always kept Rhode Island Reds. Those are always my favorite. And you'll pay more for your own eggs, raising them yourself, but you get a lot of satisfaction. Watching chickens is great entertainment, especially bantams, but their eggs are small, but you get a lot of them.
Yeah.
But watching chickens, especially if you could turn them out and watch them scratch it, they're very entertaining. Chickens are smarter than you think, and they're dumber than you think. And they're both those things. They're smart and they're dumb. They're not like us. They're different kind of people.
Yeah, they're different kind of people.
They're different kind of people, yes. But
now, what would you recommend? Because I guess Leghorns are recommended by UGA.
No. That's the white eggs that you get in the grocery stores are white Leghorns.
Right.
And if you want layers and you're going to keep them pinned up, that's fine. But if you're going to have your chickens out in the yard, I don't like white leghorns. The roosters are mean, and they're just not. I don't like them. I just never liked them. As the first chickens I ever had were white leghorns, and I had to do away with all of those roosters because they wanted to chase you and fight you and spur you and fly up in your face. And
Right.
I won't give you a detail, but they didn't do that many times. Kindly along the way.
Pull. That's all he heard.
So, anyway, but all roosters can be mean, but the leghorns are the worst.
I like those fancy chickens.
Well, I do too, but a Rhode Island Red, Dominicers, and Barred, all those Sex Link, I know this, and why they name them that, I do not know. Sex Link is a terrible name.
Miss Ruth won't even say it. She's turning red right now listening tonight. I'm sorry, Miss Ruth.
Yeah, we apologize. We didn't name them that. I think it was some Yankee.
It must have been.
Or somewhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't the University of Georgia Extension or the Georgia Extension, Cooperative Extension. It was some northern person named them that.
Must have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last name of Grant.
Link.
Probably.
Yes, Sex Link. Yeah, Sherman brought them when he come through.
Stop.
But, I mean, Rhode Island Reds. I mean, they came from Rhode Island, but they're Yankee chickens, but they're my favorites. I just like Rhode Island Reds.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Rhode Island Red.
My favorite chickens.
Well, Bantams are always sweet. And, I'll tell you something else that I saw in the store that they had plenty of was quail eggs. But you got to crack a lot of quail eggs.
A lot of them. What all eggs have you ever eaten?
Well, I've had quail. I've had a bunch of different types of chicken eggs, duck eggs, Yeah.
Well, I've had turkey eggs. I've
never had a turkey
all
egg.
manner of hen eggs. I've had duck eggs. Now, if ducks live in a pond and don't get fed like corn or grain, the eggs have a fishy taste, and I don't like them. But if you keep ducks and feed them basically like you do chickens, their eggs are really good. But I've had quail eggs, but I will tell you the finest egg to be had for eating. Especially,
don't you dare say Cadbury. I know where you're going with this.
No. Guinea fowl, guinea hen eggs.
Oh yeah, guineas. Yeah.
Guineas are, they're not really fully domesticated. They stay in the woods except when they, if there's a motor grader or a school bus going down the dirt road, they'll run out there and get run over by it. They flock to that. In fact, they've made so many dirt roads around here that guineas are having to go a long way to get run over on a dirt road anymore.
Yeah. My great grandmother had guineas.
That was humorous.
I know. I
laughed. Funny.
I laughed.
Yeah.
Inside.
But
great grandmother had them. She loved them.
Yeah, they're great. They great watchdogs, and they what they call that pod rack in the sound they make. But they go and hide.
How do they do up here? You don't really need them in a coop, do you?
No, you can't keep. Like I say, guineas aren't like chickens; they're not fully domesticated. So you just turn them loose, and they fend for themselves. You put out feed for them; they'll come eat. But they don't. They go lay their eggs, and they spend a lot of time out in the brush and weeds.
Well, how do you find their eggs?
It's not easy. You have to watch them, and sometimes it takes days to. They'll take a circuitous route, and they know you're watching them. They'll go. They say the nest is off to the left of the house in the woods. They'll take the other direction and go way around, and they take a circuitous route and keep an eye on you, and you have to be good. People used to, send the kids that go find that guinea nest. If it takes y'all all day, y'all watch them guineas. And my mama said her and Mary, that was one of their jobs, to go find the guinea nest.
And they don't build them up in the trees or anything.
They'll lay together in one nest a lot of times. And when you find them, there'll be a bunch of eggs in there. But they have a very rich orange yolk. The flavor is really good, and that's the best.
Well, how do you know if it's still good? The egg. You got to go find it right then, right?
You crack them.
Oh, yeah.
No, you can float them. If they float, I can't remember which it is. They float or sink.
See?
But, yeah.
Chris Adams, the Turtle Man, would know this. He'd have it down.
I knew it, but I forgot to have to.
He's going to have it down. Yep.
Yeah, Chris is probably listening now. And
he's shaking his head.
No, you don't have to crack them.
Yeah.
Crack them. I was being funny. But the most eggs I ever found, one time, the chickens can be stupid. I had a bunch of laying hens and a rooster in a pen under it. It was part of a grape arbor. And these hens, they weren't laying. I said, there's something wrong here. There's not an egg to be had, and they never pinned up. And it was in the springtime, and the grass around the pond was high enough I needed to bush hog it. So Daddy told me to get the tractor and bush hog and mow around the pond. So I did. I go out there and I hooked the tractor to the bush hog, and when I lifted it up and drove off, I looked back, and it was nothing but one giant mass of eggs, chicken eggs under it.
Under the bush hog.
Yeah, but what the hens were doing, there was a hole in the pen, and they would slip out, go over there and lay. All of them laid one at a time, take turns laying that bush hog, and slip back in the pen. They never tried to get out except to lay, and they had been laying. Those eggs weren't any good. I didn't like. I basically shoveled them up in a tub and hauled them off, but I fixed the hole in the pen, and I started getting that fresh eggs every day. But hens will do funny things. They'll lay together in one nest. They're lazy. They don't have to settle on them. They'll lay in each other's nests. So,
I think I'm going to have to get some. I'm ready to get some chickens up here.
Yeah, it is fun.
And then you butcher them all before the winter, I guess.
When I moved over here, I got some. Hadn't had chickens in a long time, and I was going to have yard chickens, and I had them 2 days, and a little dog, somebody's little black dog with a red collar, I saw him again the other day, and he came up here and killed them all but 2, and I gave those 2. They were terrified, and I gave them to a friend of mine. And
yeah, neighbors' dogs don't do well with chickens, do they? Cats?
No, and I thought, I said, I could shoot that dog, but I'm not going to do that. That's somebody's pet, and he just... he was doing what little dog do. He's a little dog, and I said, well, I hate it, but
I got a little dog. I bet my little dog would chase him.
Conway wouldn't do that, would you?
Oh, he'd rip into him like a bag of KFC. Yep. That's what that little dog would do.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Yep. It's time for a break.
It is. We'll be right back after this.
Georgia Radio. On your phone, in your home, everywhere you go.
Hi, this is Wade Peebles from Georgia Folk and Farm Life Radio. I'm here to tell you about Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. And you don't have to worry about supply chain issues or where your beef comes from. Do what I do and call Meeks Brothers Cattle Company today. You can get a whole, half, a quarter, any amount of beef you want. Good quality beef, vacuum packed, lasts up to 3 years in your freezer. It's grass-fed, grain-finished, made to order. Visit Meeks Brothers Cattle Company on Facebook today and tell them Brother Wade sent you. And that's Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. Thank you.
Country, that's what I grew up listening to.
Georgia Radio. We love you more than peanuts and peaches. So glad you're here.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
We're here with you. Yeah, I'm just thinking, Matt, I was looking on the Georgia Folk and Farm Life in the post I put on this morning about zucchinis and the horror.
Oh, God, yeah, that's the truth.
If you could make chicken feed out of zucchinis, you could raise them cheap.
I like what you said. During zucchini season, you got to lock your doors.
Yes, you do. They're everywhere.
I told you why my zucchinis were growing so well last year. I figured it out. Didn't I tell you about this?
What, over the septic tank?
Yeah, I found out I was growing everything over the septic tank.
Yeah, well.
And they had a peculiar taste.
They were some of the best zucchini.
Let me tell you.
Listen, when I first came to Garfield and was at New Beginnings in Christ and there, we have one of the housing units we call the double wide, and I told Donald Action, I said, Donald, I want to have a garden. He said, okay. So he got tractors around, tractor inherited up and place out there, and the garden did very well.
I bet.
I mean, it did well. And then one of the toilets was running all the time, and the guys that lived in that part didn't say anything about it, and it filled up and overflowed the septic tank, and that whole garden was flooded then, and we're like, oh, so that's what a septic tank is. And nobody, including myself, that garden was that you had tomatoes and squash.
Yeah.
But no, but I'm like, okay, we'll just tear that under. And
well, to be honest, I had no idea that septic tank was even there. I didn't even know it existed. And we had the septic system pumped this year, just about 2 weeks ago or so. And my mother, who was over there in the little house, was running the sink, and the bathtub, everything. And Mr. Turner was out there, and he said, "There's nothing coming through." He said, "It's not on this tank. There must be another one." And we looked and we called the county, nothing. Well, turns out that little house has its own address.
Really?
I didn't know that. I had no idea the things you learn, you know. And so I figured it out. Yeah, I figured it out. And lo and behold, right smack dab in the middle of my garden. That's where it was.
I just was looking at a post here that Tom Kersey posted.
The barrel man, yeah.
Tom lives in Brooklyn. He sells barrels and trailers, not utility.
And you gotta go down and see him if you need one of those Tom Kersey disappear and burn barrels.
Yeah, you want single use, disposable, your plastic burn barrel, just once and it's gone.
Yeah.
But Tom's a good friend of mine and been a great group member for a long time, and he's a good guy. But he posted this, said, funny, not funny. So I have 12 hills of collards planted in the edge of the yard. They have some tree limbs hanging over most of them. I noticed today that 8 of them are covered with bird food. I don't think a gallon of Mr. Clean Mix with a gallon of bleach could get them clean enough for me to eat. Well, I don't eat collards anyway, so it wouldn't break my heart, but I could see how somebody, it was collard eater. Yeah.
So how did he get all those birds in there?
They're roosting in the tree.
Oh, I gotcha. Speaking of birds, I went out to Faye and Brock's farm the other day. And I don't think I'm speaking out of school by telling this, but we had a great time. And went out, and they had one of the falconers who they have had as a friend. And
I was invited, but I had to work. Y'all do it on a day when I have to work.
Yeah, you were out in the woods. I kept thinking you were going to come by and blow your horn.
Well, I thought it was going to be where I could come by in the log truck before y'all were still over there, and on the way home, it didn't work out that way.
Well, anyhow, we had a great time, and the rabbit hunting was good. They got a rabbit, and the birds are going to eat very well over the winter. But afterwards, we drove into town and went to the Coleman House, and let me tell you, was that something special?
Yeah.
And you know who went there right after we did?
Who?
Michael Bright.
Really?
Yeah, he was there, and I met your old running buddy Tony. I went by Michael's. I drove by Michael's place since we were already there, and I went in, and I said, "Is Michael here?" No, he's gone to the Coleman House. And I thought we just missed him. Yeah, so he was up there having a run on their like to go stuff or whatever.
Right.
And then I got to see him. So it was a fun day. Drove right past the Nancy.
Good. Love their fried chicken. And everything's good.
Everything was delicious. The fish was amazing.
If you're not familiar with the Coleman House, it's a Victorian house built in the 1890s by the Coleman family there that helped found Swainsboro. And it's a big 3-story painted lady, Queen Anne Victorian house. And it's a bed and breakfast, and they have a wonderful buffet there. Connie Thurman, they put out some good food, and it's a very warm, welcoming place in Swainsboro. And look it up online, Coleman House, and Google it. You'll find it. Go there and eat. If you want a throw down, they put it down there. If you can't get full there on good old country cooking, you just don't know it.
It was delicious. I had the cream corn. I had everything. It was amazing. So
my friend Donald Atkinson, that was his favorite place to eat. He loved to go to the Coleman House, and he's greatly missed, and I could just see him sitting there or sitting and eating with him. So that's one thing about Donald. If he was eating, he's gonna share with you. You're gonna come sit down and he's gonna buy you lunch. If you went to Donald would sit if he was sitting there and with no shirt on his belly, the boiled peanuts piled on his belly eating them, he'd offer you some.
Oh, great. There you go.
No,
I'm
real
not really
friend. Hungry. Yeah, he was a great man, but we had a lot of fun joking. Donald had a great sense of humor like that. We do miss him. There's never been another one like Donald.
No, that's the truth.
He and Joanna, his wife, founded New Beginnings in Christ in Garfield, and just very stalwart Christians that serve the Lord in an amazing way.
Can we talk about New Beginnings, because there's a big event coming up in March?
Yes, March 11th. We will have the Georgia Folk and Farm Life Gathering. I say annual. We've missed a year or two because of COVID, but we try to have them every year. This will be our gathering, March 11th in Garfield, probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. People ask about the time. At the chapel and dining facility there at New Beginnings in Christ. It's heated and cool, so whatever March 11th, if it's hot, they'll have the AC on. If it's cold, the heat will be on. You don't have to worry about being uncomfortable. bring sides and desserts. We'll have the meats and we'll eat well, and we're going to have music and fellowship and fun like we all do. I'm going to speak, and it's going to be in conjunction with my 15th sobriety birthday, which is March the 10th, on Friday, the day before. So we're going to celebrate. It's going to be a
so leave the wild turkey at home.
Yes. Unless you
don't bring the grape juice.
No, don't bring the grape. But we're going to have a good time that day, and I hope as many that can come will. And it's going to be a fundraiser too. We're going to ask for donations to help New Beginnings in Christ, because it's a mighty ministry there.
I got to tell you this story. This friend of mine doesn't listen, but we were working in radio, and this program director of ours invited us to his seventh anniversary, and they sent out cards and all this stuff. And my buddy shows up with this big gigantic bottle of Crown Royal, because they had it at the gas station down the street, and he thought about what he was going to get, Art, for all of about 38 seconds when he was down there buying a drink for his shift, his big bottle of Coca-Cola or whatever, and he says, "Oh," I said, "Remember we got Art's anniversary party." "Oh yeah." So he runs back in to get something, and he shows back up, and everybody opens the gifts, and they opened up his gift, and nobody said anything. And Art was a man of many explicitives when he was not on the air. Which one are you? No good, dirty Ryan. Thought this was something funny. Just launched into it. So, oh my goodness. But he did not. Yeah, that's so. Anyhow, I worked there another 11 months, and my buddy worked about another 2 weeks.
That was it.
That was the end of that. Yeah, that was the end of that. But good times.
Radio is a very unique industry. I of course, we have the show here, but back in 1978, when WJAT had been the only station in Swainsboro ever, and then some three partners started a new station, WXRS in Swainsboro, and they asked me to come to work for them before I was just out of high school. They, for some reason, were impressed with me and wanted me to come work for them. And so I went to work there before it ever opened, and then after it opened, and was a copywriter, and I went out and got the news, and they had a reporter. I was a little bit, had those little
bit of everything,
the little stations like that, small town station. You don't have just one job.
No, you take the trash out and clean the toilet and everything.
I did it all. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
But it was an old time, where everything, it was all 78 RPM albums and the old 8-track type ad carts, the cartridges, and everything was old school, and I wouldn't know what to do with a radio station today. I wouldn't know how to run anything. It's
you have
all
to
computer.
Click the mouse today. Listen, Can I just bring this up, because this show is so well listened to, but one of the questions I always get is, well, how can I hear Wade's show on my radio? Well, I found a radio, a no kidding, beautiful walnut case radio that will play Georgia radio. I have one in my house right now.
Wow.
And it'll also charge your phone. It's expensive. It's not an AM or FM. It is a true internet radio. And it'll play anything in high definition. It's an amazing, amazing device. But I've talked to the company, and I think we're going to be able to work out a deal with them. And you can charge your phone on the top of this thing. You can use it as an alarm. I mean, it's really, really beautiful. And it literally gets any station in the world. And it just works off your home Wi-Fi. I don't know. I might get one or two of them and see what folks think about it, because I think it'd be kind of cool. And I know a lot of our
online at
Grace Digital. Grace Digital. It's a small company. Small business that makes these things, well engineered, and I'm telling you, it's a beautiful product. Really, really pretty. Grace Digital.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Mondo Elite.
The Mondo Elite. They've got them all in there, but I think we can work out a deal with them and get them at a discount, which would be pretty neat.
I think I should get a free one.
The Brother Wade
this is
special.
The Digital Victoria. That the one that looks like the old time radio.
Yeah, and I've got one right now that's it's a tuner, and it plugs into my 1955 model Philco set that I've got in there, and it sounds amazing. I've been listening to it all weekend. I mean, I'm very, very impressed, and they're easy to use. And so then when someone says, well, how can you listen on the radio? I said, we got to get the right radio, and then you can listen. And it's free. It's not like satellite radio that, charges money. I mean, it's free to listen to anything. So pretty cold.
I had not seen it. I like it. They've got many different models. They've got some that look a retro style, like an old time, Art Deco radio, and a Victoria model. That's the one I think you're talking about.
Yeah, and they're all different prices. I mean, from $200-$300 on down to
just
like
look up Grace
$89.95.
Digital, and you'll see that the variety that's available out there. That's neat.
It is. We're all out of time. Y'all can continue the conversation about chickens and squash and whatever else you want to talk about on Georgia Folk and Farm Life on Facebook. That's where you talk about this, isn't it, Wade?
Do what now? I'm sorry. I was answering. I forgot what I was doing, and I started answering this guy's PM. They hit PM.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
He's already on it. I said you can continue the conversation where Wade's at right now. By the way, on Facebook there at Georgia Folk and Farm Life. So that's all you got to do.
What he said.
Yeah. Good night, Brother Wade.
Good night, everybody. Thank y'all. Not bad.
And thanks to Meeks Brothers Cattle Company.
Thank you, Meeks Brothers. Yes.
Yeah, y'all check them out online. So long for now, everybody.
Georgia Radio. On your phone, in your home, everywhere you go.